they will increase. One of our challenges is to get good mechanics and good technicians. And another one is the customers, they are not getting enough with drivers. So we have focused on the vocational school project. And what we have done now since 2017, we started with 2 pupils. So there were 6 pupils over there, and these 2 guys here, they are employed. They are working down here in our workshop. And now, lately, we had a presentation here last year for this team of people here, these guys. So a new bunch of teenagers coming into the school, and they can do really hands-on training together with our competence development guys, as well then the workshop managers to learn the business from the start. What we also do is that because of the pupils, they are in the school, they are training on this type of components, and of course where we are today, this is not sufficient to meet the standard when they're coming out in the real life. So therefore, we are allowing the schools to come to our training center to work on today's products, today's technology, and today's challenges, also in terms of electrification. So by that, we're moving into the Q&A, if you have any questions for me. It's a very quick and very broad presentation of the Volvo Trucks and Volvo Romania. No questions?
That was very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I think the presentation from Ronotus, and then we go on with ours.
Bună ziua, bine ați venit. Știu că pentru unii dintre dumneavoastră este prima dată când se depind în sediul nostru. Poate un pic departe față de centrul Bucureștiului, dar aici facem banii și este parte din România și din business-ul nostru din România. Numele meu este Ginel Trincă, sunt directorul comercial pentru Renault Crux în România din 2013 și în minutele următoare să vă prezint câteva detalii despre business-ul nostru pe care îl desfășurăm în țara noastră. Renault Crux este unul dintre puținii producători europeni și totodată pe plan mondial care oferă clienților o gamă completă de vehicule comerciale, de la 3,5 tone prin Renault Master până la vehiculele grele, camioane de transport internațional, vehicule specializate, autovasculante, vehicule de construcții. Suntem parte, cum a menționat și domnul Pescolter, suntem partea grupului Volvo, alături de celelalte branduri. Renault Crux fabrică camioane din 1894. Ne mândrim cu acest lucru. Acum câțiva ani am făcut 100. Au sărbătorit 100 de ani de când am fabricat primul camion. Renault Crux este un pionier al inovațiilor. Avem mai multe inovații aduse în industria de camioane de-a lungul timpului și aș menționa câteva dintre ele. Primul camion cu suspensie pneumatică în 1965. Primul cap tractor cu rabatare hidraulică a cabinei, prin anii 1974-1975 și totodată primul camion cu podea plată în anii 90, Renault Magnum. În 2019, câteva date despre Renault Crux, din păcate nu le avem pe cele actualizate de anul trecut, dar după cum estimați, au fost un pic în scădere, având în vedere perioada de pandemie și faptul că fabricile au fost închise în toată lumea. Avem 9700 de angajați la nivel global. Vehiculele sunt produse în Franța, toate. Avem 1400 de centre de vânzare și de service și avem peste 54.000 de camioane livrate în cursul anului 2019. O să revenim un pic și cu fabricile. Avem în partea asta de Limoges, partea de recondiționare, piese, cred că și vehicule militare sunt produse acolo. La Lyon este fabrica de motoare, axe. La Bourg-en-Bresse și partea de Blanville pentru vehicule medii, din gama medie de distribuție. Avem două parteneriate în Middle East și în Africa, în două țări. Ca și producție în 2019, cum am menționat mai devreme, sunt 54.000 de unități. Majoritatea sau cumva ponderea este egală. 45% din ele s-au livrat în Franța, 45% în Europa, dar în afara din țărilor, în alte țări, cu excepția Franței, și 10% sunt în restul lumii, regiunea internațională. Majoritatea camionelor sunt vehicule comerciale peste 16 tone din gama grea, produse la Bourg-en-Bresse. În 2020 avem o scădere destul de semnificativă, de la 54 la 40.000 de unități, în mare parte datorită perioadei de COVID și a măsurilor care ar trebui să le ia toată industria auto, din păcate. Cum ziceam și mai devreme, avem toată gama. De la 3 tone jumate la vehicule pentru colectare deșeuri municipale, nu sunt prezente deocamdată la noi, dar sperăm să fie, până la autotractoare pentru transport internațional. Avem anul acesta lansată o evoluție a gamei actuale. Gama actuală a fost lansată în anul 2013, în iunie, când Renault Crux practic și-a reînnoit complet gama de camioane cu noile modele T, C, K, D. Anul acesta am reînnoit gamele de construcții grele și totodată transport internațional. O să avem într-o perioadă imediat următoare, dacă o să ne permită condițiile de COVID, și o lansare locală. Sperăm. Pe partea de vehicule cu energie alternative avem o experiență destul de bună, exact cum am menționat pe mai devreme, la nivel european. Volvo Group este numărul 1 ca și cotă de piață pentru vehicule comerciale electrice. Avem deja pe partea asta de vehicule electrice primul contract semnat pentru 4 unități care vor fi livrate până la sfârșitul anului în România. Toate celelalte soluții de energie alternative sunt disponibile și în cadrul grupului nostru. Unele din ele, cum este aceasta de CNG, care are peste 10 ani, este în producție peste 10 ani și avem o experiență destul de îndelungată. Din păcate, în România sunt puțin prezente. Pe partea de vehicule electrice, pentru că mai devreme sau mai târziu toți să ajungem acolo, cum am zis, avem de la 3,1 la 26 de tone, iar împreună cu grupul vom avea acces și la vehicule din gama grea. Și diferite tehnologii, pentru că sunt anumite soluții de transport care nu vor fi fezabile doar cu bateriile, cu soluția clasică electrică. Și se vor merge la alte tehnologii. Am avut în vara aceasta primul master electric în România, niște poze foarte frumoase, făcute de colegii noștri. L-am și vândut pe acesta. Un pic din istoria lui Renault Crux. Deci suntem prezenți în România din 1992, printr-un birou de vânzări și având la vremea respectivă un importator, Ipso. De-a lungul timpului, ar mai fi de menționat, în 2005 a fost stabilită filiala Renault Crux în România. În 2013, Renault Crux devine partea grupului Volvo Group Crux România, entitatea juridică legală Volvo România SRL. Avem o prezență destul de activă pe partea de achiziții publice. Am livrat, și o să vedem imaginile în următoare, destul de multe mașini în România. Ca și rețea, este cea prezentată de pe, avem ultimele două serviciuri lansate aici la Arad, deschise și la Suceava, dar mai avem planuri și pentru zona aceasta. Avem 12 puncte de service. Majoritatea dintre ele au experiență și în reparația autovehiculelor militare. Dacă ați văzut dumneavoastră în curte, avem un Sherpa, un Renault Crux Sherpa mai vechi. Deci avem experiență în partea asta de reparații. Sunt și nu numai Sherpa, și Crux și toate celelalte vehicule militare care au fost de-a lungul timpului la noi în ateliere. Evident, cu cea mai mare expunere pe partea asta de București. planul este să dezvoltăm și mai mult asta și în ideea viitoare de a susține proiectul Arcus în România, de a participa la potențiala achiziția statului român. Dintre contractele noastre livrate către autorități publice din domeniul acesta militar sau Ministerului de Interne, am menționat acesta 200 de unități livrate la IGSU. Cred că le-ați văzut toți dintre dumneavoastră în perioada de pandemie. Au tot plimbat diferite ajutoare de la stânga la dreapta. Am avut, cred că, cea mai mare publicitate făcută în perioada de pandemie la televizor, inclusiv președinte, prim-ministru, toată lumea. S-au folosit foarte mult. Chiar când atunci, în 2017, când am câștigat contractul, ne-am gândit, dar, dom'le, ce o să facă statul român cu ele? Cumva am găsit ce s-a făcut. A fost nenorocirea asta cu pandemia și le-au folosit intens, au cărat material. Către armata română avem și aici o expunere, în sensul că avem peste 30 de mașini. Scuzați-mă, am pus mai repede, cred. Avem peste 32 de mașini avem livrate, începând cu 2016. Sunt pompiere militare către unitățile de... Scuzați-mă. Către unitățile de armată, cred că și aici în București este una la statul major acolo. Ok, ajungem tot la final. Și aici sunt unități care le-am livrat către... singur. Ministerul de Interne către Jandarmerie. Este un contract mai mare de 300 de unități, din care ei au comandat până acum decât 45, dar este un contract frame, cadru care urmează să se închidă la finalul anului viitor. Deci probabil că mai sunt funcție de bani care o să aibă să mai comande din cele 300 de mașini acolo. Cam atâta aș putea să vă zic în scurt despre Untitled. Dacă aveți o întrebare, o terapia, vă pot răspunde cu plăcere. Ok. Bine, vă mulțumesc frumos de atenție și o zi bună.
Thank you very much. So we go first. Thank you very much to you. We are proud to welcome you. We present you our project.
Yeah, you're right. Now I am alone, so I can tell
So we will present Arcus company. So I present you Marin Tollet, who is in charge of press relations, and Edouard Penning-Riff, who is the sales director for Central and Eastern Europe. I am Thierry Buchen, and I am the sales director of Arcus for Europe and Americas. So I will let them to present. Thank you very much for Renault Trucks and Volvo Trucks. Thank you, Pierre, for welcome us in our facility. It's our brother company. So we go on a presentation. We present you what is Arcus and the presentation of the project that we have for the Romanian forces. And then after we propose to have a technical part, a third party, which will be a technical part on the vehicle. We are downstairs, and I will be. I was a former designer. I was a military engineer, so we could go deeply in the technical side if you want. I think I can answer to the question. We start.
Let's go. First of all, thanks a lot, all of you, for coming here today. Most of you know the Volvo Group. Most of you might know, of course, Renault Trucks. But I'm not certain all of you know about Arcus, so I think it's important, before going on to the vehicle and going on through the specifications of our project for Romania, to go through the company itself, so that you know where we're coming from and where we're trying to go. A couple of details. Well, we've said it more and more. We're part of the Volvo Group, obviously. So we're a cousin company to Renault Trucks as well. So we've got lots of cooperation within the group going on. Volvo is a very important group for France as well, with many factories, but also for Romania. So this is a partnership that we're willing to build on in Romania for Romania. Regarding Arcus, Arcus is a major partner for the French Army. This is a picture which was taken on the Barkhane operation in Mali a year ago, and all the vehicles you can see on this slide are all Arcus made. That includes the VBL, which is a light armored vehicle, the VEV, which is a troop transport, and on the other side, the VBCI, which is an infantry fighting vehicle. All are Arcus made, and the VBCI is made in partnership with other French company, which is called Nexter. So my point being that everything that has wheels and is serving in the French army, it originates from our plants, with a few exceptions, logistical trucks to name a few. So this is what Arcus is. All major equipment which is serving in the French army is ours. That goes from light armored vehicles to very heavy equipment, including self-propelled cannons, the Caesar, for example, which is very known self-propelled gun, VBCI, and also lots of logistics trucks, troop transport, etc. But we are not only a legacy company which has been building its legend with the French army in the past, we are also a company of the present and the future. Since we are supplying the VT4, which is the light non-armored liaison vehicle for the French army on a civilian basis, but also the Special Forces vehicle for French Army, the LFS and PLFS, and also the new main combat vehicles, the Griffin and the Jaguar, in collaboration with Nexter and with Thales as well. So we are a French company, as I said, and as you've noticed. So we've got 4 production facilities all around France, and also 1 design center near Versailles, not too far away from Paris. In total, about 1,500 employees, everything comprised, among which about 500 engineers. So we've got capabilities to build, to create, manufacture, design all kinds of vehicles, from 4x4 all the way up to 8x8, in cooperation or not, and to produce them in our plants from 3.5 tons to 42 tons, plus non-armored vehicles. So a complete R&D department. I'm not going into the specifications, but feel free to ask any questions if you have some. But most important is that we have been supplying and also supporting the French army and many other armies throughout all their operations for decades now. So we do have the experience in supporting them and also thinking about what an actual military vehicle serves on the field and what it should have, and we benefit from the experience built on the field as well. So this is what we're building. We're not just creators of vehicles, but we are creators of sensible vehicles designed for the military. In total, for the French Army and for export markets, we've produced about 1,200 vehicles last year, and that's accounting for the COVID crisis, which has slowed down a little bit production. Many armored vehicles, but also non-armored vehicles for the French Army. Many organs as well, and drive lines, not only for export markets and for cooperation. Now, where does Arcus originate? Arcus is indeed a very young company, since it was founded in 2018, but its origins go back to 1898 with the first Polar vehicle, which was the first massively produced car for the civilian markets. A car which was chosen by the French Army in 1905 to create the first motor vehicle for the French Army, and arguably the first motor vehicle in the history of military vehicles, which was the Pan Argenté with a machine gun fitted on a civilian car. Other significant vehicles throughout the ages, the Berlier CBA, which was instrumental in the French victory in 1915-1916 in Verdun during the First World War, and also the FT tank, which was the first actual tank in the market, which was founded by Renault, and which has been equipping the Romanian army after the First World War as well. Other significant inheritances, the Pan EBR, which has been the light reconnaissance vehicle for the French army for decades. Another could be the Pan AML, just to name only a few of the most important ones. The VLRA from Achmet, which we have been developing throughout the ages, and we now offer a second modern version of the VLRA for tactical trucks and drivelines. The VAB, which has been equipping the French army since 1976 and is still equipping the army until its replacement by the Griffin, which we are supplying as well. And the last one will be, okay, that's not the last one, but the Sage. And the last one is the VBL, which is a small, light armored vehicle for the French army, still in service, and that we are currently upgrading in our plants. Arcus is not only, I said, a company of the past, it's also a company of the present, the future. So we are supplying the Griffin with our partners Nexter, Arcus and Thales. We are doing all the mobility side of the vehicle and also the remote control weapon stations on top. Same goes with the Jaguar, which is replacing the light vehicle in French Army, the AMX-10 and the RC, and also the ERC-90 Sage in French Army. And we're also supplying the Special Forces vehicle for the French Army. And this one is built on a Sherpa base, the most modern Sherpa base, which we are offering as well to Romania.
We're also delivering to Belgium Army.
And to Belgium Army.
The two previous vehicles.
So this is the PLFS, the heavy version of the Special Forces vehicle. Also non-armored vehicles, as I said, this is the VT4, which has been ordered in almost 4,000 copies and we've delivered about 2,000 now. A vehicle which has known its first military foreign operation last year when it was deployed to Lebanon for military civilian cooperation with Lebanon to help them in relief. We're also supplying the base for the Caesar cannon, self-propelled gun from Nexter. So this is the 6x6, which does fit in a C-130 as well. And we are also, of course, supporting on the long term all the legacy vehicles, including the VABs, which is now a vehicle with more than 40 years of age. And we are still supplying the French Army with parts and helping them with repairs. And note the fact that the VAB is one of the most used vehicles in French military operations abroad in very difficult conditions. So it shows our commitment to support the armies we're partnering with on the long term and helping them develop also their capabilities. Okay, there we go. Also the PvP, which is serving in the French Army, but also in Romania. Same goes, we're supporting this vehicle as well. And also all kinds of trucks which are in service in the French Army, more than 10,000 trucks in total, including the GBC 180, which you are seeing on this side. In total, we've been renovating more than 500 vehicles last year for the French Army and many other organs. This goes with specific logistics. We've got a logistics plan in the center of France, which is the center responsible for sending off all parts to French regiments and bases on demand under very short notice, which allows for maximum uptime and availability for the equipment. And this is a capability which we are working on with Renault Trucks as well, and the network in France, and this is something which could be adapted to any country. And we also have a wide range of vehicles for export markets, which I'm going to leave Thierry explain.
Thank you very much for, as Marine tried to explain to us, you see we are a main supplier for the French Army. And what I think which is important is that we develop, we are the owner of the definition, so this means that we have a large, we have a look, and we can masterize the duration of the life of the vehicle. And most of the vehicle, the real duration of life of about 40 years, something like that. So we design, we manufacture, we support, and we sell. For the French Army, but not only. Now we see mainly the export. We are globally on an average of, if I mix it, depending of the years, but we are half of our market is in export, and half is in the French Army. So for the, yeah, that's it. So this is all, you can see it's a very large one, from the 3.5 ton on a civilian base. All the other is our design. This is a Ford Everest range base, but all the other is Arcus design and manufacturer product. So you have the Sherpa Light family, which is the one. Now we are the third version of the Sherpa, and this is the one, the last version that we offer to the French Army and that we propose for the Romanian forces. So it's a very combat-proven vehicle with all the new technology inside. I go quickly, but we have a Bastion, which is more for Bastion Vénère, which is tactical trucks. It's not a civilian trucks coming from Volvo or Renault. It's our design, and this is a pure tactical trucks, mainly used by the African army. We sold a lot in Africa. I cannot tell you. We have more than 60 countries for customers. But as you can see, we are not so present in Europe. We are mainly present in the Middle East and Africa and in Americas with some trucks. But and now we have a strategic axis regarding the sale is to develop our business in Europe. And for that, we don't want to make same as the other countries, which means sales. We want to make partnership. And for this, we want to be based on one or two countries, and the one is Romania. And we want to develop our business not only to sell the trucks, but also to produce the trucks and to have a kind of platform which is able from Romania to spread over some other countries, not only Europe. So Scarabée, which is the first, it's a prototype. We didn't sell it at this time, but it's a prototype, and this is the first military vehicle design with a fully breed power. That means that you can drive only with electric if you want. It's a hybrid vehicle. It's a reconnaissance vehicle. So I will pass. This one is the one in service in Romania.
16.
This one is a tactical Crux. So as you can see, it's very robust, very dedicated to military application. It's everything is oversized, and the weight balance is not the same than the civilian Crux. And it could be tactical air transportable inside the C-130 or the A400M. And this vehicle is made on the same frame than the trucks. It's the same rolling base. You put out the cab on the rail tray, and then you add an armored hull. So it's the same. The armored hull is designed by us. We have a specialist. We have some specialists, well recognized, and we design and we manufacture our own armored hull. So this one looks like the first one, but it's not the same. You see, this one has rigid axles. This one is it's a kind of the Formula One. So you have independent suspension. You have a very high power, very big engine, a 6-cylinder engine, and it's fully in NATO standard. This one we sold to the Swedish Army. This one we sold in Middle East. It's a VAB Mark III. It's the same. It's the third generation of VAB, but it's the term, same concept, but more protected. This is the new range of a 6x6 tactical vehicle, which completes the Venera in 4x4. And this is the Scarabée. So I go quickly, but all our vehicle is fitted with all the military equipment. I mean CTIS, run flat system. The electrical is fully in the NATO standard for receive all the radio on all every C2 equipment. We are also a system integrator. For example, I think it's the next year. We design the cupola. We designed 3 cupola for the Scorpion program, and we delivered it on the Serval also. On all those vehicles from Scorpion. We have the 0.5 machine gun, 7.62 machine gun, and another one which is more dedicated to observation. And we develop our own electronic. This means that every time they change the equipment, they change radio, they pass from Thales to Harris or Harris to Thales, and then and we develop a special bridge, which means that you are able to change the equipment, and all of their equipment can speak together. You can put interphony and with the radio, for example, but also you can have observation device, observation camera, or just location camera, something like that, and GPS. So just focus on the Sabre. Sabre is the name of the Sherpa for special forces. It's a version for the special forces, and this vehicle is used in Mali inside by the French army. we start to deliver the vehicle. And it's a full family, so we are lucky today because we have a Sherpa carrier. You will see it's an old one. I think he is more than 20 years. It was the first version, and this is the one you saw here. And this one is dedicated for police. It's an assault leader vehicle. Unfortunately, I don't know, but they use it during the terrorist attack in France in 2015. Yeah, they catch the man with this vehicle. And today we delivered a lot, but in 2020, with the COVID situation, which is not an easy situation for the business, we delivered 300 Sherpa for the Kuwait, and we delivered also some rolling base. So we have business, we have international cooperation for chassis. So for PTP Indad, we delivered only the rolling base, and they make their own armored oil in their country, and they fitted the vehicle. On full international cooperation, we also sold around 100 Sherpa Light to the export market, but full international cooperation. This means that we have a link with partner, and it's added to the number of people.
Only for last year.
Yeah. This is to you. Yeah.
Gentlemen, ladies, thank you again for joining us. I will get into more details after this DNA presentation of Arcus on our ambitions and projects in Romania. So, as we mentioned earlier, and as you noticed when getting into the venue, we are proposing the Sherpa Light 4x4 family to the Romanian army. And I will explain you how our proposal is comprehensive to answer all the requirements and expectations of the Romanian army. Just a brief introduction to mention that though we are meeting today for the first time, UNS, we have a long history as Arcus, as Renault Trucks, as Volvo Trucks in Romania, and I will get into more details regarding the military sector. Already following Renault footsteps, because we didn't mention it, but Arcus is coming from Renault Trucks, but Renault Trucks is coming from Renault. So you know Renault is very much present in Romania, and we are getting a lot of inspiration from Renault's success and cooperation with Dacia. We have we've been following Renault footsteps in the country, and we've been already for quite some time sourcing military-grade equipment for our Arcus vehicle from the local Romanian automotive and military industry. This is the example with the PVP Dagger, which is in service in the Romanian army. We mentioned that we sold 16 units of them, but even globally speaking, not only for the Romanian army, but also for other customers like the French customer of the PVP, we've been sourcing the following equipments from the local industry. It's a more than a 10-year partnership as a supply chain integration of the local Romanian industry. Broadly speaking, if we mention all the portfolio of Arcus vehicles, there are some key constituents and components that we are sourcing from your local industry. We have a broad network of suppliers, and I would just like to mention, because it's very emblematic, it's something very obvious, you can see it at first when you enter into the vehicle. We are supplying, for all our vehicles, mine-protected seats from the Romanian local industry. We are also sourcing and asking for design bureau here in Romania to engineer specialized steel structures that we are using in most of our vehicles. This is the, for instance, radio rack. There are some footsteps as well. And example of a very recent program where we've been heavily relying on the local supply is the VT4 program that was mentioned before. It's the sole vehicle that is not completely manufactured by Arcus because it's a base, it's a Ford Everest base, rolling base. if we get into more, I would say, military hardened supplies, we've been cooperating with various companies, but the most famous of it is ProOptica. I'm sure you all know them, since they are the historic supplier of remote control weapon station in Romania. Very important for you to know that Arcus has been cooperating with ProOptica for more than 10 years. We've been prominent in helping ProOptica to develop and mostly to qualify and to certify on our range of vehicles their 7.62 and 12.7 millimeter RCWS. There have been huge and intense exchanges and cooperation between the engineering and design bureau office of our two companies. We've been hosting demonstration campaigns of ProOptica solutions in France. We've been bringing the vehicle here in Romania as well for proving ground operation with the Romanian army. And it's been a success for the both companies, as we've been sourcing, we've been supplying export countries with Sherpa Light vehicles, with on top ProOptica RCWS. So we've got few examples in the Middle East, especially, but also in South Asia, ongoing discussion of export market cooperation between ProOptica and Arcus. So this is one example of export market cooperation, but based on the project we are now talking on regarding land army requirements for Romanian army, we could also enlarge and imagine a cooperation on the export market as well. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, we have also experience in delivering fully equipped, and not only RCWS, but fully equipped vehicles to the Romanian army. This is a PVP, Petit Véhicule Protégé Light Heavily Armored Vehicle to the Romanian army that were delivered in 2013, contract signed in 2012. They've been, I think they've been in operation in Afghanistan. Now, from what we know, they are mostly operated by the military gendarmerie. The customer seems to be satisfied. So they are coming from Pan-R brand, which belongs to Arcus at the moment. And also we've been delivering Sherpa in various configurations, but this is a carrier configuration, to NATO. And they are at the moment based in Romania. There are more than 10 of them. One is parked in the yard. And this is a very good example of how we could support the vehicle, as Renault Trucks is already for almost 10 years supporting, servicing the vehicle of NATO units in Romania. And this scheme could be replicated for the military program of the Romanian army as well. Just a closer look at the PVP contract. So Arcus was cooperating with a local Romanian company called CSR, Centrul Serviciu Comunicații, Radiocomunicații, which is a private company. You might know them, I guess. They are also working on other current programs like the 8x8 Piranha 5. So this is one of our historic partner companies in the country. And so we've been working with them. They've been integrating their communication on board the PVPs. So what we are proposing now to the Romanian army, I'm sure you've heard about this huge ongoing, upcoming mostly, procurement process for the replacement of the 4x4 light armored tactical fleet of the Romanian army. It's already a project that has been prepared for the past 2-3 years. And last year, the Romanian army issued a formal RFI to local and foreign suppliers, mostly to European and US suppliers. And we've been answering to this RFI with a fully compliant solution based on our Sherpa Light family. We say family because, as we mentioned earlier, Sherpa Light, and I will go back into more details, is actually a rolling base and a complete design by Arcus solution, which has many various configurations to answer all the requirements. So let's say, for instance, because this is rough figures that the local Romanian requirements would emphasize all these requirements, which we think should be paramount. We are able to answer to these requirements with two configurations of our vehicle. One is a scope configuration, and the other one is APC. Important to know that we've been already delivering more than 1,000 units of the Sherpa Light family. And most of these versions, we have heavy experience on them. We already have been working with suppliers of concrete equipment, like the mortar, like the CBRN equipment. So we fully masterize these configurations, and we are ready to bring our knowledge and expertise to the Romanian market. So as we mentioned earlier, this is a family of Sherpa Light family. So we've got the Sherpa Light Scoot, which is the most multi-purpose, versatile Sherpa Light configuration for 4 up to 5 crew per person. It's 11.5 ton vehicles, high mobility, high protection as well. You can fit it with RCWS, you can fit it with CBRN protection solutions as well, and numerous optronics and communication sensors. The Sherpa Light Carrier is really the multi-purpose logistic solution. I forgot to mention that the Sherpa Light Scoot can also be used as a weapon carrier. We have experience in these things. Sherpa Light APC is a larger based vehicle which can accommodate up to a crew up to 10 people, 2 plus 8 seats. And this is the one that was shown in the pictures with the assault radar that were used by the French police during the 2015 terrorist attack. And the Sherpa Light Sabre, which is actually the latest generation, which has been paramount in developing the latest generation of Sherpa Light. This is a multi-purpose, this is a special forces vehicle of the French army. So it's open roof, and important for you to know, I think, that we proposed this vehicle to the Romanian special forces. They were interested to procure some vehicles end of last year and beginning of this year. So we made a spontaneous proposal to them based on the fact that this vehicle is combat proven by the French special forces in Sahel, in Mali, and not only. That maybe the Romanian special forces will be deployed in Mali, in Sahel, to cooperate with the French special forces as part of the Takuba operations. So we did propose this solution to the Romanian army. It seems now that they selected another solution, but we are still open for discussion. And for sure, based on the fact that it's the same platform as the Sherpa Light Scoot and APC, we are proposing there could be synergy in servicing and in industrial cooperation if they were to select our solution. So this is the Sherpa Light with RCWS. The one we bought here was without RCWS. As we mentioned before, we are a manufacturer, designer, manufacturer, and supplier of RCWS, but this is a side business of Arcus. The core business of Arcus is vehicle manufacturing. So we are, of course, we are open to cooperation to select other RCWS of interest by the Romanian land army. This could be Prooptica, this could be other RCWS. We are really agnostic in this sense. I think we have at the moment more than 25 customers of the Sherpa Light family, in worldly speaking, and hopefully soon 26. So these are the main performance assets of the Sherpa Light. So as we mentioned, it's a 4x4 obviously off-road vehicle. We have high mobility thanks to also 270 horsepower. It's a cylinder.
It's a four-cylinder,
Four-cylinder,
and 5 liter. It's a Volvo and Renault engine.
And we are not allowed to divulgate it, but it's a highly protected vehicle, and it's fully required. It's fully in accordance with the first requirements we received from the Romanian army. In its special forces configuration, open roof. This is a Sabre vehicle. We propose to you to watch a short video clip of the vehicle in operation. Comment?
There is no sound.
On a petit son pour que...
Ah, okay. Let's without sound. If there is some question in between, we can. What we can summarize is that today we have this vehicle, which is fully meet at the moment the technical specification from the Romanian forces. Sure, if tomorrow they add some specificities for radio, for C2, for we will do. We can even have the engineering in Romania for the special, all the specific parts. We start the discussion with the Secretary of State for the Defense, and we are.
Then we will focus
Okay.
on the industrial cooperation.
Okay, so there is a special point. And then now we are waiting for the release of the documentation of the specification, and we will see how to go further. But anyway, this is a medical version with 2 stretchers, I think. All our vehicles on this one is same, meet on this. They are compliant with the NATO standard. Each time we take the NATO standard, sometimes we have to add specificities from the countries, mostly for French. They have their own standard, so we have to match the NATO standard and the French one. But it could be the Swedish one, they have their own also. So we manage. Usually we manage with all the standard. And when I say we are compliant with the standard, each time we did the test by a third party. This means for protection, for mobility, for everything, for integration. We go to the French DGA. They make the test. They give us the report. Like this, we are sure that the vehicle we deliver is fully compliant with the request. And it's very important for the protection. We have many experiences from our vehicle, unfortunately, it jumped on a mine, and we were happy that quite nothing happened. And our vehicle, we are sure that they fulfill the standard.
Now I'll get into more details on the industrial cooperation we're proposing, because with this project, as with many other projects for the Romanian army, as you know, there are strong expectations regarding offsets and regarding localization of industrial activities to bring value added to the local economy. And this is something actually Crux has been doing in numerous other countries in the past, and is especially interested, as mentioned by Thierry before, in Europe, as we believe the market is already very much mature, industrially speaking, to welcome production facilities and as well. So our proposal is really to build a strong Franco-Romanian land defense cooperation, to be the first land defense cooperation that could have other, like a domino effect for other domains, and not only for domestic market but also for export. we could imagine to license the Sherpa Light to the Romanian industrial partners to have a local version of Sherpa Lights that could be exported in some specific market afterward. So our cooperation, which is in discussion at the moment with various industrial partners, covers the following domain: armored hull manufacturing. And actually, Thierry will be able to testify. He's come to Romania already 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to investigate the possibility to have armored hull manufacturing in Roma at the time for a French project. So it's a long history from Arcus side, and Renault Trucks Defense at the time, interest to see if we can manufacture armored hull for our programs in Romania. Then for sure we are already, as I mentioned, we have some partners, former partners, and we have new partners regarding communication and Safe4I systems supply and integration in Romania. Optronics, we mentioned, and RCWS, we mentioned Proptica. There are other actors as well in the country, but this is really something we are willing to cooperate on. CBRN, so chemical, biologic, radiologic, and nuclear threats, warning and protection. Electronic warfare, and automotive component and equipment, which is already a long story of cooperation for us, as I mentioned before. On the basis, we are really trying to bring the most from the experience of Renault Dacia. We've been talking with Renault, actually, to share experience on how they first enter the market. We are trying to replicate the same success for the land defense, and we are aiming at localizing the highest value-added industrial activities. So it's not only about servicing the vehicles, something that our competitors could also propose. No, we are proposing the full package. We are proposing the whole domain of technology and the whole domain of industrial activities, from engineering to support, and also, in the meantime, procurement, manufacturing, assembly, and integration. The full cycle of vehicle manufacturing and delivery. So, in this sense, we are now working on the exact figures. We have also already some intel, but it's really an ongoing process, ongoing work. The vast majority of the financial value of the contract that could be signed by Arcus with the Romanian state, the vast majority of the financial value will be localized in Romania to the benefit of local Romanian private and public companies. And the vast majority of the vehicles will be as well manufactured in Romania. Okay?
An important thing will be the aim is also to have a complete strategic autonomy for the Romanian army. They will not depend to another country.
It's also a very specific proposal made by the French industry, by Arcus, which could also contrast with our competitors. We are really aiming at fully localizing the production so that Romania will actually be the second hub for Sherpa Light family manufacturing and servicing, not only for the local market, but also for export market. As you mentioned, we have 25 countries at the moment which are customers of the Sherpa Light family. So let's think maybe there will be countries that will be interested to have the Sherpa Light service in Romania because it's closer, because it can be cheaper. Let's be honest, the man-hours here is less expensive. Just to have a rough figure, I mentioned before that maybe there will be 5,000 Sherpa Lights will be required by the Romanian army. Just for you to know that one vehicle locally produced amounts to 300 hours of production line. And this is not counting on engineering work, procurement, management, and after-sales services. This is only production line. So we could really bring a lot of work for the local industry and for specific factories as well. This is so as I mentioned before, this is an ongoing assessment of Arcus, and we are doing it in cooperation, hand by hand, with the Secretary of State for Defense Industry, with Mrs. Daniela Nicolescu, that we've been already meeting, and also referring to Minister of Economy as well, with the support of the French Embassy and French authorities. So, with all these high ambitions to have a fully strategic autonomy in Romania, for sure we are developing parallel training and progressive ramp-up of production for the local forces. So it will be in 3 phases. It's quite a classic scheme, but we're already now phasing it. We have some ideas of which quantities will fit into each phase to have a progressive transfer of technology and to ensure the smooth, risk-free localization of production. So in phase 1, we believe it could be 10 or 15% of the quantity of vehicles will be produced in France, and in the meantime, of course, with deliveries coming from Romania for specific components, for armaments, maybe for communication systems. And in the meantime, we'll have a team here in Romania training the local workforce, and we'll have also some trainers in France welcoming the Romanian workforce. In the phase 2, we'll be producing the rolling chassis and cab in France, sending them in Romania for full assembly and integration. And in the phase 3, which will cover a huge amount of the vehicle, it will be fully Romanian production. And at this stage, we could also imagine a licensing of the vehicle, so Romania will be product-owned Sherpa production. So this is the conclusion of our presentation. So as we mentioned, it's only a first step. It's an ongoing process. We have every week, every month, we've got people coming over in Romania, working with our partners to try to fine-tune all the best inputs to have the highest level of localization, to be able to answer to all the requirements of the Romanian army. But also there is work being done on your side, on the Romanian side, by the MODs are now working on the requirements. And so we are at their disposal, and we'll be highly motivated to evolve, to adapt our solutions to their requirements. So
okay. Thank you, Edouard. Thank you.
May I ask you something?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
have some contacts with some local companies like Moren? Where do you think to do all you told us so far?
Yeah, we start. We are a little bit engaged. We have already signed some memorandum of understanding, and for sure we are in link with Moreni.
With Moren.
Roma Moreni. I cannot tell you all, not because it's because we have a competitor. So for sure we don't want that. We cannot tell you all now, but it's well engaged, but it's not finished. We saw there is some investment to do, and so we will have to find the best compromise in terms of price, and so we need to find the best partner which are already able to do some components.
What vehicles will you deliver to the Romanian army, and which will be the price?
We will deliver all the vehicles requested by the Romanian army. We have huge industrial capabilities. I think we deliver without any problem more than 1,000 vehicles a year, And we believe this program will probably span on 7-8 years in Romania, according to the quantities required by the army. And then we've got 25 plus years of servicing. And so It will all depend on the requirements and quantity ordered by the Romanian army. They have a huge target, a big target. I am not allowed to divulgate numbers. Most probably they will phase the procurement with the first order of a couple hundred vehicles, maybe more than a couple hundred, and then they will ramp up the production. We are ready to any request from the Romanian army, and regarding the price, for sure it's classified information, confidential information.
Yeah,
But you don't have a price range for Sherpa Light vehicles, for example?
It's difficult because in fact it depends on the level of protection, what we put inside and everything.
How much costs the most expensive one?
Oh, the most expensive, I don't know which one. Really it's complicated. No, I don't have any. I think the most expensive is the assault ladder because it's a very specific one. And the assault ladder is a huge equipment which is very expensive. I cannot tell you any price, but to give you an idea, we are well placed regarding some price which has been given by the press. It's this price. Yeah. If you take the press release and the price that there is inside is the real one. We are well placed in terms of price because we are we just meet the requirements. We are not up, we are not down. So this means that we are really good position.
We have a balanced proposal, and we have a balanced proposal because we have a big portfolio. So we can select the concrete, most precise solution. Maybe we can come back and we see all the portfolio of the vehicles. We have vehicles ranging from 3.5 up to 25-ton vehicle, you know. So
the most expensive is the special forces, yes, because there is it's fully armored with missiles. So it's why, but it's it's a relatively good price.
And regarding your investment in facility production in Romania, when do you estimate it will be finished, and how much will we invest?
This is you show the 3 steps.
Yes, I saw that.
And this is but when you see the 3 steps today, what we have to put is where is the cursor in between. Where is the cursor to pass from the step 1 to the step 2 and to the step 2 to the step 3, and all this will depend of the speed of our partner to reach the quality and to reach the standards that we want to offer for the forces. That means that they have to work. You see, for example, these steps could be relatively quick. That means less than 1 year.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah, 1 year from this step to this step. And these steps, it's more difficult to say if it's 6 months more, because it's not 1 year and then we start from here to here. In fact, we start this, and this all together. The 3 will go all together. And then this one, we think in 1 year it's easy. This one is more difficult because you have to produce the vehicle and you have to purchase the parts. So it will depend on how, if our main partner put a lot of money and put a lot of investment, it could be 6 months. But I don't believe it will be the case. I think we will need more than something as a 10 or 12 months.
And regarding the level of investment, this is also something we are studying now. We have an audit team coming over, meeting with the suppliers and the industrial partners, assessing their industrial capabilities. Some investment could come from our side. Some investment could come from the Romanian state, if we are talking about public companies, from private investors, local investors, if we're talking about private partners. And but all of these investments could be also supported by financial backers, like the French banks, because we have the support of the French state. So we could bring also financing. It's not only about investment, it's also bringing financing.
But that's the job we are doing now. Today, that's the job we are doing. We are waiting for the new specification, but I think in 4 or 3 months, 3-4 months. But today we are working on the transfer of technology, on which is the level, with who, which level, how to do.
So if I understood well, you will finish the phase 3 in a best case scenario in about 1.5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
The which phase?
Phase 3.
Phase 3,
Yeah.
The best case.
in a best case
Best
scenario.
case.
Mhm.
Well, it depends on how many vehicles are ordered, because Romanian production, it lasts until the last vehicle is delivered, you know. So if you're talking about 5,000, vehicles, it could last 10 years. But it should start Romanian production after, depending on
It's the best case, it's this, yeah. So,
1.5,
months.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
it should start.
And about the level of investment, do you have some estimations?
We have, but I have no in mind. Really, it's not. No, really, I have not. We did everything already. We have. I think we supply the Romanian government with
Some figures. Yes.
some figure are being given to the Romanian government.
It also depends on what level of localization and offset are required. If actually Romania asks for lower level of offsets, then there will be less investment. If they ask for larger offset, then we will need to localize more. It's also something that depends on your side. Yeah. And,
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You said that tomorrow we'll have a meeting with the Romanian decision makers and potential partners.
tomorrow, industrial partners tomorrow.
Industrial partners.
No decision makers. Representatives will come later.
Or only industrial partners. The subject of the offset is a sensitive subject, but I see that you have a strong answer. But here in Romania, for the other military products, aviation and naval products, there are some voices, foreign or Romanian voices, who discuss about compatibility with NATO standards. What can you say about this?
Yeah,
It's a problem for you?
No, today, in fact, we use already NATO standard from the beginning. I am 25 years in the company. From the beginning, we use the NATO standard. Why? It's not because we know that this country uses. It's because we need, every time we need to have a standardization. So my engineer, if I say that to my engineer, they will launch stone on me. But anyway, we need a reference which is a very strong reference where nobody can say, yeah, you do like this, but you see where you take your reference and everything. So the NATO standard is a good standard because all the countries from NATO have this standard, and even, for example, Sweden, which is not really in NATO, they use this also. So the French use it. So the French was not, now they are, but they was not. But they use the standard, NATO standard. And we use only other standard when there is no NATO standard. And there is no NATO standard, but the French, for example, because the requirement for French is 500 page. When we receive a specification, it's 500 page of requirement. Mainly it's NATO standard, and when they have no NATO standard, they did their own standard. So that means that we receive a full book with this standard, and they explain us how to measure what is they are requested and everything. But really, for us, it's not an issue because we already use all the NATO standards for protection, for mobility, how to pass the bump, how to the road behavior. You know, when you make a left and right to be sure that the vehicle stay on the road. All this is NATO standard. We use it. For us, it's not a big deal. It's a good question because many times they say, well, why do you use this? We need reference.
Any other questions?
Little one. The program requires also the delivery of unarmored vehicle. What will Argus deliver? Because Sherpa is the armored vehicle, and for unarmored.
Yeah, good question also. Good question because as you see, we pass away. You can see we pass away the. But it's okay. You're right. It's good question. We have two things. First, we need some more details about the not armored vehicle, because today there is I think that for the armored vehicles they really know what they want. It's really like for the non-armored, which was here was an armored vehicle.
We suppress
for
you, but we can.
We suppress because we have different sound from the MOD. The MOD told us it could be a pure civilian vehicle. With this we have, it's called Master Renault, we have. But some of them say it's not sufficient for military application, so you want military application. So in this case, we have other figure. First, you will see we have the chance, it was not plain, but we have the chance that there is a Sherpa without protection down there. So you will see. So we could answer with the full Sherpa technology, the same ring base. This is good because it means that the logistics is the same. But there is only few vehicles, 520, an armored vehicle. So we could answer with this. Or it's always we want to have the same level of performance, and this looks like the non-armored vehicle is a little bit less high in terms of mobility and everything. So if it's the case, then we will have to thinking about other Renault base, or to make a joint venture with somebody, because it's only 500 vehicles. So
our idea was also if they are asking for civilian vehicle, but with minor modification, we could also be working with T2 engineering plant from Renault. We've had contact with them and.
With Renault for I think Duster or something like that.
Yes, Dacia Duster.
Cercetare, I don't know. They are not equal.
Probably.
So it's in 2 years ago when we answered to the RFI, no, last year, we did propose also an armored solution.
Okay, so the RFI includes 5,000 armored and
500. 500 not armored. But it depends, we don't know.
500 unarmored and
okay.
everything included close to 5,000. But we are not allowed
okay.
to.
So it's not very clear how many of which.
Yeah, it will be. They have to precise. They will release the documentation, the technical documentation. They will release it in end of this year, beginning of next year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
This is the third version of the Sherpa family. Okay. It's a scoot vehicle. This one is fully protected level 2. Okay. But we have many different. You can have higher protection in terms of ballistic, or you can mix ballistic and mine protection. The engine power has growth up to 265 horsepower. Okay. And the suspension system has been modified in order to reach high level of road behavior. Okay. And we are able to make the NATO chicane, one left and one right. Okay. And you will see the vehicle is very easy to drive because I am able to do. And it's not. It's a silent vehicle. It's not noisy. It's comfortable. You can speak. Unfortunately, we cannot check the off-road today. Unfortunately. Yeah, because the real design is done for off-road condition. But today we don't have. We need a test ground.
It has how many speeds?
This is a 5-speed. Okay. 5-speed in front, 1 in reverse, but you have a double gear. Okay. You can select a double gear. You can lock the differential. You can lock the central.
Front, center and rear.
Yeah, it's a real 4x4. Okay. With a central differential, rear on front, lockable manually. I can do it in here.
Understand. Okay.
So unfortunately, we cannot use the power, but you see it's because you need torque mainly in
And the torque is?
And the torque is 815 Newton meter.
Okay.
So I have a reverse camera.
And this is?
This is a brake, handbrake.
Okay.
This is handbrake.
Yep.
Same as a truck, in fact. It's
Understood.
very easy to drive. Unfortunately, we cannot give you now.
And
but it's,
what is the differential? Where do you?
here, you see, you have the central. Here is the central differential.
Okay.
You can look. This is the rear differential.
Okay.
And this is the front differential.
Got it.
So this one, it's you have to let your finger on it.
Da.
Because if you have a free differential lock, then the vehicle drive straight.
Yeah.
You cannot turn.
You cannot turn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's straight.
Yeah,
So this one you have to push like this, and then when you are go out from the obstacles, then you let it's
Understood.
automatic.
Understood. Okay.
You have a very high air conditioning system. It's
Okay.
important because now the soldier need to be. There is a lot of high-tech equipment. You have computer, you have the RCWs. So in order to be in a comfortable situation, we put air conditioning system. So you can see the air is very fresh.
Understood. Okay.
Very quickly. Like just because it's the beginning, so it's noisy. And you have a different plug. You have the 12 volt, 24 volt.
I saw the outlet. Yeah. Okay.
In some other, you have also the 22 volts for the hand phone. For your phone, you can have a standard plug. And it depends of the variant, but you have also a 300 amp generator. When you are in the commander version with many radio set. You can have up to 5 or 6 radio sets at the same time.
During the night it has like a webasto, so you can keep the
Yes, that's it. Yeah, we have a special heater for the very cold situation, and we can run at minus 32 degrees.
And the heater consumes per night per hour around how many liters?
I cannot tell you. I think it's something as 2 liters per hour or something like it. So it's a Webasto. It's the one you know. I think it's we use Webasto or Weber Special.
Understood. Okay.
So it's the current one, but militarized. It's not all the electrical component is fully compliant with the NATO standard in terms of EMC, electromagnetic compatibility.
Okay.
So you can put a jammer, you can put what you want. It's running, and it's not perturbating the mobility electronics.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
So you have the winch. This is the command for the winch.
Okay. And you have only the winch in front. You don't have the winch in the back.
Yeah, we have only in front.
Okay.
If we want, we are studying.
What's the power of the winch?
The power of the winch. This one is 5.8 ton.
Okay.
It's one. We have one, and we have the Ramsey. It's really classic.
Thank you.
At your disposal if you want any more information later.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
See you too. See you. Bye bye.